Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman ji, many congratulations and thank you for talking to me today. This has been a monumental week, absolutely monumental for the country and for you. I want to start by asking you about the date of the announcement of the GST. We'll talk about the significance later. You can put it from a layman perspective, what it means. But can you take me into the backstory of what led to the, the whole GST announcement on the 3rd of September? There must have been an intense work for many months, as you have said. But that particular day of the meeting, I was told that negotiations were going on right till the very end. And there were some tense moments, there were some disagreements. But eventually it is believed and it's been said that you pushed your way through. You said now and no further, this much and no further. We're going to press with it. So can you tell us what happened as much as you can?
Thank you, Arnab, first of all, to give me this opportunity to talk to you and Republic viewers. This is one of the biggest thing for reforms, and I'm glad it's gone through so well. And I thank each one of the finance ministers in the council for finally agreeing. And I also agree with each of the finance ministers when they put their case forward, the state's concerns forward. But what is more important here is to recognize, and I think it's only right to recognize, on the union's proposal, there was no disagreement. Let's be clear, right from the beginning, you would have heard even that statement which was made by all the 8 states, whatever. They could not criticize the union's proposal because it was pro-poor. It reduced the burden of taxation on the citizens, particularly for the poor, the middle class, the farmer, the MSME, and the items which constitute a monthly ration of a household have all been brought down. So they actually saw the merit of the proposal and they didn't have an opposition to that. So on that question, unanimity, if I have to be fair to everybody, unanimity was arrived at already, even as we were sitting in the council. Right. But where was the argument? Or where was the contention? Where did the difference arise? It was on the basis of this assumption by states, right or wrong, that as a result of this proposal going through, as a result of the tax cuts that we are talking about, states' revenues will go down. So who is going to protect the state's revenue? And that was the voice of largely the opposition states and only the opposition states. Now it is on that there was an argument. And it was on that there were discussions, not 1 round, not 2 rounds, 3 full rounds. And that is why it took all the time for the council to end. And in that, there were 2 arguments that I had in my mind and I put it forward. I said, look, Prime Minister Modi, when in the budget of 2025, gave income tax relief till 12 lakhs. Did not hesitate for a moment saying my revenues will go down. Because he believed that money should reach the hands of the people. They should have some money left in their hands after all the taxation to decide on where they want to spend, whether for the daughter's education or for the son to set up a business or something else, or for them to build a new room to their house, or to buy some aspirational goods, whether bigger refrigerator, bigger TV, whatever, or save or put in the stock market. He didn't hesitate saying I won't give this because my revenue will come down. Similarly, during COVID, 140 billion people you gave vaccination free. You do something, get the revenues mopped up, but you will not ask anybody. Citizen will not be asked to pay for the vaccination, nor will the states be asked to bear the cost. We'll do it all on our own. Second. Third, the unique responsibility for the center is take care of our entire country's defense. We don't go about saying, oh my God, where will I get this money? I want the states to help me. We don't. So I quoted all this and I said, revenue in the hands of the people, meaning more money in the hands of the people, less taxation in the hands of the people, would result in them going out to decide how they want to spend that money or save that money. That will kick-start the virtuous cycle. More demand in the market, more consumption in the market. Industry feels they want to expand on their capacities. Production will increase. Then that creates more jobs. And so on. The virtuous cycle. So the arguments which some of the states were putting forward was, who will bear the brunt? So I said, we are sitting in a house, meaning the GST Council, where center and states are together. No such my baap ka attitude can prevail here. I am not sitting with a suitcase where from I can give you something. I am also expecting to take something out of this kitty which is lying in the center. You contribute, I contribute, you take, I take. Per a formula. So how is it that we suddenly think there is a central government which has a suitcase from where it can go on giving to the states? As it is without the Finance Commission telling me to give, I am giving 50 years interest-free capital expenditure money for you. No Finance Commission told me to give it. And that in the last 4 years uninterrupted we are giving every year post-COVID. Today approximately it's reached 8 lakh crores. Purely from my kitty. Purely from my kitty vaccination. So I said, if I am also going to bear the brunt of reduced revenue, the kitty is common. I don't have a spare kitty to pay from. Nor do I come to ask you for the common defense or COVID or SASKI. Give me your petrol revenue. Give me your liquor revenue. I don't ask you. So nobody is going to be able to fill up for somebody else's deficits. We all should become efficient in tax collection, stop evasion, make sure that our efficiencies results in more into that kitty.
Were there hot moments?
Tense moments, not hot moments.
Was there a consensus when on the 15th in the morning the Prime Minister, 15th of August, said that I am going to be giving you a gift on Diwali? How far away were you from that moment of decision making or consensus? The Prime Minister had set a time target for you.
Yes, I had no clue how it will go through in the GST Council. Because the final decision is with the Council. Prime Minister indicated his desire that the people...
Fairly in detail. I mean,
yes.
He went quite detailed about it.
He didn't go to the details. He said
he made the broad principle announcement.
He said, I want to give a gift to the people well in time for Deepavali.
He mentioned GST.
Yes, sir. GST.
So that put a lot of pressure on you, didn't it?
Yes, in GST, but that's all he said. Through GST, I want to give a gift to people before Deepavali.
Yeah, but it's a complex thing to deliver.
Yes. And then one had to follow the rules and procedures, give the centre's proposal to the group of ministers. Then the group of ministers considers and then says, I'll take it to the GST Council. Then we'll have to notify the GST Council date. As we notify, we send the agenda. The states will have to look at our proposals. Then there is an officers committee meeting which happens prior to the council meeting.
You're pushing it all through. You're pushing it through, rushing it through personally at it.
And there were some people who said, well, do it before Navaratri. Because in Bengal, in the eastern parts of the country, that's when they
and
go
this
to the
time
market.
Durga Puja is
earlier. So
you've done it before, well before Durga Puja.
Well, so some people said, why don't you do it from 20th, if the council clears? I said, it's all right, but we need time for the systems, the digital systems to be fed the newer rates once the council approves. That itself will have to be done both by centre and states. Give them some time. So they suggested, why not September 20th? Then my little bit of sense that it is Shraddha period, Pitru Paksh. I said, wait till Mahalai. Do it from the next day after that. So that's why 22nd.
Well, I mean, you know, when I'm talking to you about this, I have deja vu moments. I've sat in this very room, I think here, or this room, with Arun Jaitley when GST was passed. And the monumental nature of that decision and the monumental nature of this one, I think he would have been so proud of what you have achieved as well here. Why are the states still complaining then? They're still complaining. Okay, so broadly, is it because they have a problem with this number? Because they're coming up with accurate numbers. MK Stalin says that this is unfair. It is not serving the people unless it protects my revenues. Kerala is saying we will lose 5,000 to 10,000 crores. Jharkhand is saying 2,000 crores. Are these numbers the real issue, or at some level? And since you're an active politician as well, is it also about the politics of it? That you've gone around to the people talking about Gabbar Singh tax for the last few years. And now that's a big argument that is taken away from their political armory. So I feel it's got more to do with politics as well. Don't you also think that there's a strong part of it?
Absolutely.
The opposition is more political than number based?
Because they couldn't oppose the centre's proposal on the substance or on its merit. Then how do they sort of cover themselves up? On the contrary, on one score, if they are seen opposing this proposal, it is going to be not to their credit. At the same time, they can't allow the credit to be given completely to the centre. So how do they make a bit of a difference to the whole thing? Say my revenues are going away. My point is, are you not interested in reducing the burden of the people? Yes, let's see, for a few months revenues may go down. But because people can come now to buy more, and there will be a enthusiasm among people from various segments.
You think people will deliver? You think people will respond after 22nd?
I'm sure they will respond.
You think companies will comply? There's been this whole argument that companies, there has been some regulatory pressure to
No,
make
that
sure.
I understand.
There's been a question that's been spoken about a lot.
But aren't you now seeing in the public domain many companies coming out to say we will definitely pass on? I was surprised Mahindra put this out saying we are not even waiting for 22nd from today.
Can I give you an example? A few days back, I was at Kolkata airport and I think we bought some mithai. And the GST rate which was offered was, I think, 5%. And so we were very pleased to note that companies had not even waited for your announcement. So I think it will apply. But this question has been asked. So would you like to say something on that to sort of reassure consumers?
We are in talk.
Will you keep a watch?
First of all, we are already engaged with them to say, come out openly, say it, that you will pass it on. And many of them are responding. And that will continue till the 22nd.
Okay.
But from the 22nd, I have committed that I will personally monitor and talk to people from the different regions and states.
Okay.
District level, some of them.
Okay.
And if they think ground reports say that it is not getting passed on, then I will engage with that particular sector and that industry and that business house and say, tell me why you wouldn't want to pass.
Oh, so you're willing to sort of have a watch and keep a conversation.
Absolutely.
It's not as if Nirmala Sitharaman has decided this is a number, now however hell you want to implement it, you can do exactly what you want. It's not that. It's a process will continue.
Absolutely, I shall keep a watch.
Are you open, Ms. Finance Minister, on discussions with other stakeholders? You say, we also have a lot of areas, sectors and all who are not happy. Many are happy, many are still not happy, and many are making representations. For example, you have the Clothing Manufacturers Association of India, CMI, which is saying the 18% GST on garments above 2,500 will hit their festive season sales, saris, clothes, and jewelers say that, that the reforms continue to impose a tax on tax. They're talking about a 5% tax on making charges on top of the 3% GST on gold. Some FMCG players have flagged that detergents, which is a 45,000 crore market, was left out. I don't want to discuss any specific sector with you. My broad question to you, Ms. Sitharaman, is that looking forward, will your ministry, the government, engage with these groups, these various industry bodies who may make representations, or is this a hard and fast?
No, we've never hesitated.
How do people engage with you?
They do already with us, and the process is open. They know the route. They just send our email, then we fix a time for them to come wherever they are, and then once they come, we sit and hear them patiently out. So that system will continue. That approach, openness is ready.
That's excellent. That's excellent.
They can always approach us, and I'll definitely sit with them and hear them out.
At the rate that things are going, I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Congress party starts approaching you for authorship of this proposal as well. Did you find it interesting that everybody in the Congress was claiming authorship of this proposal. They're saying it's because of us. First they said Gabbar Singh tax, now they said it's principally because of us. May I ask you, in that context, was there any discussion with the opposition parties? I mean, they're claiming authorship. They said this is entirely happening. All the good news that Nirmala Sitharaman is giving is because they're behind this idea.
Only then they are not able to give me an answer for a question which I posed 2 days back.
Yes.
If indeed they were so wise and their wisdom guided me, why wasn't their wisdom available for their own party when they were in power for 10 years? They could have done this GST then.
They could have passed, but they say it was difficult, and their argument is that at that time the BJP was not supporting us.
Yeah, because you were not even convincing the states about compensation. Here was Sri Arun Jaitley who designed and gave you a compensation package in which the earnings of the centre's exclusive domain, the excise on tobacco, was also brought in, saying, okay, you levy on it and collect it. He earned trust.
True.
Prime Minister Modi earned the trust, saying if states' concerns are not addressed, we can't. And it was addressed, and therefore it was implemented. Why couldn't you, and your wisdom which is available freely for me every now and then, why wasn't available to them earlier?
You put it very well. Yeah, they have a lot of wisdom which they throw at you in hindsight. Every now and then. Everyone's advising you. Everyone has a piece of advice for you. Ms. Sitharaman, when GST was brought in with then slabs which were then brought in, there was consensus, but surely it wouldn't have been a very popular move at that point of time. Could you tell me, from your broad understanding, what are the 1 or 2 changes in the Indian economy which have allowed this to happen? I'm sure in every budget, allowed this change to happen.
Change.
Every budget, I have interviewed you every year, every budget, the one question everyone puts to you, and you do get irritated about it, that what have you done for the middle class? And I said on my program the other day, or when you did this, I said that this is not a promise to the middle class, this is a collaboration. The Prime Minister has made the middle class an active participant in the process of change and to face global headwinds. But my question to you is, what is it that allows us to do this number today, which was not possible to do when Arun Jaitley first brought in the rationalization of GST in the first place? What has changed in the country from then to now?
First of all, the introduction in 2017 of GST brought the country's market together.
It was the biggest structural reform.
Unless that was achieved,
yes,
this couldn't have been possible. Yeah. That's the first one.
Agreed.
Second, despite COVID and post-COVID,
right,
the revival of Indian economy, the activities, the buzz, the aspiration with which the small businesses were all coming up and fulfilling many of those goals that they set for themselves. I should do better in my business. I should now export. I should be finding more newer market. Digitization, which came and facilitated them, that they were able to capture newer markets even digitally.
Yeah.
So simultaneously, many such things happening. Banks opening up, in the sense with better health to give further credit. The transition of the banks from being fragile to the twin balance sheet problem, and then to become healthy, they making credit available. So many factors, and the mass acceptance of UPI, where people started buying things.
That's tremendous.
All these facilitated the revival of the Indian economy post-COVID. Now, once the revival is happening, your revenue generation improves, and GST's revenue generation crossed 2 lakh crores per month on an average. And you saw that therefore refunds were also happening quickly to
compliance
businesses.
was better.
So all these and a stable policy for export or for any other economic activity have all brought in an environment where you think you now can take it up. And also in the 5 years, minus the 2.5 years of COVID, GST stabilized. So I can now think of shaking it up for a next.
And are you also looking at saying that the productive money in the hands of people should remain productive? I was drawing a link, you can tell me whether I was right or wrong. I said that the way in which you brought in this concept of the sin industry, or for example, the 40%, on online gaming. I think the 40% tax which is applicable on online gaming, because there was an estimation that between April and July, as much money was meant on online games via UPI, which is comparable to the money spent in drugstores and pharmacies. It's not a very productive habit. And then there is a crackdown on online betting. Is there a big philosophy we are seeing here? The money from online gaming you want to draw into more productive expenditure on food, essential items, online betting.
Yes.
And then you also want to disincentivize people from smoking, into the super luxury items. Is there a broad principle of social reform that is associated with it? Or is this purely economic? You think the money spent on unproductive, quote-unquote, sinful activity will be spent in productive activity? Is it a mix of both?
It's a mix of both.
Can you talk a little bit about it?
See, first of all, it is not as if only through this reform have I classified demerit goods which go to 40%, which is commonly known as sin goods.
You've done it in the budget.
It is there before. It is in GST even before.
Yeah.
Those were the goods on which we had the highest 28%, plus the compensation cess.
You made it just more severe.
Some of them went to 88%, some went to 53%, and so on. We've now brought it all to 40%. Because that's the highest available for me in the GST. That is one thing. Second, if this is being done under GST, the banning of online money games through the law is done also because the voice of the people was reaching the PMO, saying my family and my children are all getting sucked into this, and as a result families
are being destroyed.
Monthly income is getting destructive, in the sense it's getting paid for all these unproductive activities. We can't anymore, and we are not able to dissuade our young from getting into this.
Because there are algorithms behind these games which compel a person to become an addict. And you're right there.
Yes, and also some of them, even if it is not intended to be played with money, get drawn thinking it's all free. Because the entry is deceptive. It says no charge on this, come in. But the moment they get in, there's something which is hidden, that charge is happening. And the person plays the second game, further charge, and so on. So, inadvertently, many people are getting into this, and families were really upset. The calls were coming to the PMO. So that's where the online gaming social messaging of we don't want it when it is played with money. However, we are not stopping games, entertainments which are online, because people can use it, and that doesn't hurt the family finances.
But you're cracking down on online betting.
That's right.
Betting, you're cracking down in a big way. So there's a bit of social reform also associated with it.
That's right.
You see, Sitharaman, simple question. What do you expect for people watching this interview? What do you expect from the people of India now? And what do you expect from the corporates of India? This question is not often asked about what is the expectation from corporates that you would have now that you've given what some see as a stimulus or whatever as an incentive package for boosting expenditure. What should corporates do and how should people respond?
No, I'm happy with what the corporates are responding like now. I'm happy that they're responding in the sense that they are coming forward and saying that we will pass this on. And I really appreciate that they have understood the message of the larger reform that has happened.
And stood by it.
And stood by it. And I'm sure that itself will motivate many others to come forward, and people therefore can be assured that this is coming through and this will be passed on to them.
Was this accelerated because of our ongoing issues with the US and Donald Trump? It may not be immediately, but maybe the timing was?
No, not at all.
The speed of the change, the announcement of the Prime Minister?
Prime Minister's announcement was more for the sake of giving people the relief at the earliest. Because by May 15th or early June, he knew that this work by the Department of Revenue, Finance Ministry has already reached a stage where he was sure that this was a wonderful package and that we should now propose it to the GST Council.
Regardless of the tariff announcement or the tariff
this work is
are you saying this would have gone through on broadly these timelines even if the last 2 months of issues
Yes,
would
because
not have mattered?
remember, even during the Jaisalmer meet, PM had already told me that I should take it up and work on the GST reforms. And post that, it only took me several months, and by May I was ready to do it. So there was no question of me postponing. The GST Council had to meet anyway after the budget session.
But as the timing somewhere, because
It's
Madam Finance
confidential,
Minister,
if any.
after the GST reforms, there's been this curiosity that US tariffs would have threatened to estimate, say, 80 to 87 billion dollars in export losses, some aspect of the GDP. And therefore, while this was planned for well over a year, I concede, and there's been a lot of hard work that's been done on it, it was pushed through to soften that impact.
Completely not correct. It has nothing to do with the tariff. GST and the reforms associated with GST had to find the light of the day sometime. I was ready with it. PM was convinced it's a good package, and he therefore said propose it to this GST Council. The GOMs had a look, they cleared it, and then the GST Council cleared it. Of course, PM wanted it well in time for Deepavali so that people get, because that's a time in India, festive mood prevails, people go out buying, people go out,
Of course. But you're saying two things. It's absolutely nothing to do with
absolutely nothing to do with that.
Madam Finance Minister, yesterday the US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said, and I quote, "In a month or 2 months, I think India is going to be at the table and they are going to say that they are sorry, and after saying sorry they will try to make a deal with Donald Trump." How do you see that comment? And is there any strategy that India is contemplating in that context?
I think the External Affairs Ministry has spoken quite well on this topic. We will be engaging with the US for the trade negotiations or whatever. But beyond that, I don't want to comment on the comments given by various members of the US administration.
Of the Trump cabinet.
So I don't want to comment.
But the comments are always coming hard and fast, and the comments are they go viral.
The common people of India feel insulted.
They
We have actually worked to build a good relationship with the United States. They have also done it. I'm not saying only we have done it. Over the past 2 decades, it's been a relationship where we built from one strength to another. That cannot be forgotten. So people of India feel very hurtful when such comments come out in public. But we've kept our calm. The engagement at the diplomatic level is happening. Hopefully there will be better days.
Ma'am, you have kept your head down and worked very hard to support the Prime Minister's vision of an independent foreign policy with a calm handling of the financial situation during COVID. We had a wonderful conversation here at that time where you explained to us the need to maintain our economic sovereignty through unique trade agreements, including buying oil with Russia. Do you believe that was a momentary requirement? I'm only asking this in the context that critics like the US point out that India did not buy so much Russian oil earlier. They bought it of late, indicating that we can live without that Russian oil, and we are doing it more as our own tactic, more part of our foreign policy than an economic need. They've used words like laundromat. I would like your take on the Russia oil import. I know the foreign minister has commented on it, but it's a matter that concerns your ministry as well greatly. Do you believe it's necessary? And is it an economic decision or a diplomatic decision?
Arnab, I'm surprised you're asking this question this way. Economic or diplomatic decisions are for the country to take. Where I purchase anything, oil or anything else, from is my decision. Where I purchase from is my decision. It's our country's decision.
Yes.
Our leadership's decision. And those decisions are not taken if it's going to hurt our economy. If buying oil from A instead of B is going to be cost ineffective, meaning if I buy from A instead of B and I end up paying more for that, it's not good for my economy. Instead, buying from B makes me save some money because it is affordable, it is less expensive than buying it from A. I will have to decide. That's a decision of my country. It can't be that somebody else would tell me, don't buy from A or B, buy from C. It's my decision making in the interest of my country's economy, in the interest of my country's diplomacy, and moreover, it's not done in stealth.
No.
Everybody knew about it. And the products after refining from this crude have been purchased by everybody.
Including Ukraine, including Europe.
And therefore, I feel it's a sad day that we are being singled out on that.
I am totally in agreement with you. I'm only playing the devil's advocate there, but because these issues, Ms. Sitharaman, I believe need to be in public domain. They need to be spoken about, and I'm so glad that you're addressing them. In the same vein, another question would be that this is what some people in the opposition say, and I find it striking, the similarity between what some of them are saying. Like, you know what Rahul Gandhi said? He said the economy that you have run so magnificently is dead. Did that, by the way? What was your response that day?
I felt hurt. I felt very bad. Not personally. I guess as a leader of the opposition and the party behind him, his party, would have an assessment on the Indian economy.
Yes.
They have very experienced people with them. They have advisors, political, economic advisors, everybody. You charge the government of the day with your assessment. Based on your assessment, I am quite happy to hear it. My duty to respond, I will respond. If you borrow the words unthinkingly of somebody who has commented, thinkingly or unthinkingly, I don't know. However eminent that person may be, why do you blindly borrow opinions without matching it, aligning it with your assessment of our economy? Tell me, pray, is Indian economy dead? For the last 5 years, we are the fastest growing. Sooner we will be the third largest. Every state is growing. Some of the states are setting target for themselves, 1 trillion from our state within 1 year. There are some other states saying may not be 1 trillion, but for my size, for the size of my state, this much. There's a healthy, positive competition. These are not possible in a dead economy. I don't need somebody else from outside the country to say or not say. But would you not praise, save based on your own assessment? That is what I feel made me disappointed. How could some party which is sitting in the opposition in the parliament end up repeating or parroting the words uttered by somebody else? Don't you have your own assessment of our economy?
No, he said, I totally agree. We all agree. Don't you agree? He asked the reporters. The body language at that point of time, I don't know, it was not a swagger. It was bitterness that I actually saw at that moment. And with the same argument, now they say, there is a similarity in the comments on both sides. You had US officials say that some Brahmins in India are benefiting from the purchase of Russian oil, a casteist reference, but obviously aimed at certain corporates in India, who are doing the refining process. And similarly, I've heard Rahul Gandhi and others also say that why should the country's people lose because some companies in India are doing the refining. M.K. Stalin was in Europe 4 days back, and he said there that people in Tamil Nadu are suffering because some companies in Gujarat are doing the refining. So he made it a political issue in the run-up to the Tamil Nadu elections, Gujarat versus Tamil Nadu. Can I get your assessment on this? Because it's being made as there's a feeling that this is an Achilles heel for the government. They'll point out that, for example, this Reliance that's doing the refining, and therefore why are they benefiting? I asked on my program, so would you expect? Do you expect Haldirams to do the refining? Do they have the capacity? But can we have your response on this attempt to politicize?
2 or 3 aspects of it.
Yes.
One, I want to remind everyone who comments on this that there was a windfall tax levied during and post-COVID, during and after COVID, on these companies which were getting cheap oil and refining and making profit by exporting them. That windfall tax was levied, and that helped in getting money into the coffers of Government of India. Now that money from the consolidated fund is used in the states for various programs.
Yes.
Did we not extract that revenue from them for the windfall profits that they made? Haven't we shown that we didn't let go corporate windfall gains without taxing them? Do they remember that at all? One. And that was done on a formula. The formula used to be checked up every month.
Yep.
And the rate was determined on a monthly basis.
Precisely.
That is one. Second, industries in a particular state, in this case you're saying about Tamil Nadu, are suffering because of the because of the tariff.
Yeah.
And for which, not just for that state, but for the country, for all exporters who are exposed to US market and who may have got hit adversely because of the 50% tariff, the government and its departments are talking to the stakeholders to see what exactly is the extent of damage.
Yes.
And how much should be government support towards them so that they are able to
So you're looking at that?
Yes, we are looking at that. And in that context, no state is being ignored. If Tirupur textile people are
Tirupur
affected,
was the specific place where there was a protest the day before this comment was made.
so there, or whether it is in Surat or whether it is in Ludhiana, we are looking at sector by sector who's been affected because of the exposure to the US market. To say that, oh, companies in Gujarat are benefiting against the well-being of Tamil Nadu,
That was what was said specifically.
that is a very typical narrative that the so-called Dravidian parties always have been putting forward in Tamil Nadu. I said it elsewhere too. We have grown in a Tamil Nadu which always commented saying, South is suffering, whereas North is prospering. Yeah. In Tamil it is, Terku Teidu, Vadakku Valudu. We've always heard it from these Dravidian parties. And today you claim that you're much developed, I'm happy for that. We are industrialized, we are urbanized, we are very prosperous.
We contribute more.
We contribute more, we get less. I want to ask, if that is the story, the continuous line that you're maintaining for the last 60, 70 years is of division. It is completely projecting a divisionary argument that, oh, my Tamil Nadu is being put to difficulties. Excuse me. Hasn't Prime Minister gone to Thoothukudi to establish one of the most modern multimodal center for seaport? Sarvanand Sonowal was there yesterday,
yes,
talking about hydrogen mission and how in the Thoothukudi city they are doing projects. Who initiated the extraordinary lengths of 4-lane highways? Is it not from the center? AIIMS in Madurai, however delayed because of the project called whatever funding. Are these not commitments given by the center? Similar to what we do in many other states? That attitude to divide north and south and to play victim always is a typical Dravidian model talk. And it is very disappointing that despite all the efforts of the Prime Minister and the efforts of the Prime Minister to show how he cares for Tamil Nadu, this argument keeps coming up.
There's also
Very divisionary politics that they do. They are separatist
It's also targeting of Nirmala Sitharaman. I'm sure you don't discount that because you're one of the tallest leaders politically from Tamil Nadu. And you have announced this, so I'm sure they are putting two and two together, don't you think?
I don't know about that side, but I'm more on the argument of the separatist mindset with which Tamil Nadu's some politicians behave. Always looking at the rest of the country as, oh, you know, and we are very different, we are very separate, we are very... That attitude of a separatist logic should not continue in Tamil Nadu's politics, should not continue in any part of the country.
I didn't find it in the fabric of society. I spent a few days in Mamalapuram in Chennai recently. I did not find this among
that is
people.
Not
it's purely a political argument.
Absolutely.
I don't think it will stay.
Absolutely.
What is your message
right.
to M.K. Stalin?
That he should get out of this attitude. If he's running his state well and if he's running his policies well, why should he constantly have this being victimized attitude?
Yes.
He shouldn't.
Yeah. I'm sure that message is going to go with this video. In conclusion, Ms. Sitharaman, today was a remarkable day because we suddenly had the Prime Minister put out a tweet and he's, President Trump, after months of aggressive criticism and tariff threats, he said he'd always be friends with Modi. Sometimes people wonder about, the relationship between leaders at that level. And the Prime Minister also responded positively and he put out a tweet saying we'll always have a great relationship. In that context, where do we stand? I know it's a foreign policy issue in a sense, but because you're at the highest levels of government, you still see a trade deal or a talks or a relationship with America as possible? Or you see that as a closed chapter? How does the government
No, I don't
that?
see it as a closed chapter.
You don't see it as a
closed
closed
still
chapter.
possible, and I'm sure there are efforts being made by the negotiating team for trade, diplomatic team, which is working on all levels. I'm very hopeful on some list.
Do you think, as finance minister from where you stand, do you think India will be able to balance from a financial perspective, the pulls and pressures from other countries which would want us closer to them, namely China, Russia, BRICS countries and the United States of America? Is it possible for such a large nation, which is emerging as a superpower, going to be the third largest economy in the world, to be non-aligned economically, non-aligned in that sense?
I think I'll put it in these words. India has constantly got to be fine-tuning and doing a fine balancing act. And I trust the political acumen, the statesman-like approach which Prime Minister takes on these issues, and I'm sure he will succeed in continuing to hold a fine balancing act going for India's sake. And therefore, I still think solutions can be arrived at with the strength of the way in which PM does this balancing act in the global arena. We don't need to align with one or we don't need to align with another. We have to be India and India's interest and its guardian. And on that, PM Modi, I think, is best suited in the given environment, and I have the trust and faith that he will lead India forward.
What is your biggest, last point, what is your biggest learning as finance minister, beyond, of course, this nimble-footedness which you've spoken about, the need to, pirouette around, make changes, be nimble and respond with a fine balancing act. Personally, what has been the biggest learning for you in all these years? You are now one of India's longest-serving finance ministers. What has been your biggest learning in governance, sitting on this chair?
You have to keep trying. You have to keep trying and remain there to improve your performance. You have to keep trying. You have to keep trying. You never let go. That I can't do this. Cannot happen. You have to keep trying and delivering.
Well, I must appreciate the humility and the candor with which you made the last comment. Having watched you and with admiration as you've grown so much in stature, I think the simplicity with which you went last will go across to a lot of your admirers. Keep trying and stay at it, and that's the story of the Indian economy. Also want to congratulate you on behalf of everyone for this fantastic reform that you've done. And, we look forward to many more. Sorry, but I'll push one last one. Are there more significant reforms in the pipeline? There's been some indication of a few major ones in coming days and years.
See, when you have Prime Minister Modi, reforms can never be in the sidelines. It has to be top of the agenda. It has to be a continuous process. He pushed us to do all the kind of reforms even during COVID. There's no way we can relent on, okay, we can do other things. Reform is always on the top of the agenda.
Well, thank you very much, Nirmala Sitharaman ji. It's been a total pleasure talking to you once again. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Arnab, for giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure. Thank you.